This is Alana Martin. We're very pleased this evening that she's joining us from the Go Project. She's going to be speaking with us about faith formation programs that are pre-recorded. So specifically, some Sunday school programs that the Go Project is developing that focus on pre-recorded lessons that can be used in a variety of different contexts with churches. We've done a little spiel here to introduce ourselves to each other already, but I'm going to ask Alana to tell us a bit about herself. Our plan this evening is Alana will have some information to share, and I have a few questions that I'll ask her to sort of prompt a couple of things, but otherwise, Alana will share some information, and then if there are questions that come up later on, we'll entertain those as well. Alana, tell us about yourself, please. Welcome.
Great. Well, thank you, Kent. Thanks for that introduction and the invitation to be with you this evening. So my name is Alana. Oh, I just got spotlighted. Okay. I am joining you from Toronto, which is traditional territory of the Huron-Wendat and Petun First Nations, and most recently the Mississaugas of the Credit River. So I come to you in this virtual space in humility and gratitude for being able to be on this land and live and work after centuries that it has been cared for and tended by Indigenous peoples in this region. And yeah, I'm here to talk a bit about the Go Project and our new curriculum program. But first, I'll just tell you a little bit about what the Go Project is. So Go Project started 15 years ago by a group of youth at a congregation here in Toronto and their youth leader. And they approached their leader and asked to go on a mission trip. And he had just come from this amazing experience himself after a year abroad with Christians, learning and growing in their faith and in their relationship with this word and this idea of mission. So he told them that they could go on a mission trip as long as they paired every day that they were outside of their community with a day inside their community. And that's how Go Project began. And for the longest time, our tagline was a mission trip in your own backyard. And so we were really trying to emphasize that there is so much love that needs to be spread and given in our own communities, and to counter some of this kind of cultural assumptions or knowledge or trends that we need to always be going to another place or to another global region or partner in order to do good work. And we know now that oftentimes that work has not been at benefit of local people. So we were trying to offer this program as an alternative, as a very faith-based and justice-based experience where teens could immerse themselves in community partner organizations for 2 weeks and live together at a church and volunteer and play lots of fun games and pray and worship and cook all their meals together. So it was this really immersive experience. And we were running programs all across the country. And then we started running children's camps all across the country with a similar theme and idea to have children be involved in their communities and have everyone, children and youth, create some sort of action plan at the end of their time in the program on a way that they wanted to give back to their community with what they've learned and what they've discovered could be a need in their own community. As we all discovered in March of 2020, things changed and in-person programming was not a reality for a very long time. And so our team at Go Project had been thinking about curriculum for several years, but just didn't have enough time or enough resources to really put the effort into thinking about what the structure would look like. And all of a sudden, that was our next plan. We thought, okay, this is our pivot. So that summer, we partnered with the United Church Resource Distribution bookstore, so the UCRD, and they were really eager to have United Church curriculum be sold through their bookstore platform. So they were eager and excited to partner with us, and we told them that we would create monthly lessons. And so we developed this whole framework. We did that for a year. And now this year we have launched a pre-recorded Sunday school. We may have overcommitted ourselves here, but it is so much fun. And I'm going to show you a couple different options. So first, I'm just going to share my screen here and just give you a little overview of our curriculum ministry as a whole. So if you go on to the bookstore website, which I can send the link to, you're going to see several different options, and sometimes they're confusing. So I wanted to just really lay it out that you can just purchase a single unit, and that could be about a story, or it could be about a liturgical time. So we often do something for Advent and something for Lent, and then we do other units based on stories in scripture that we find, and they will have 3 to 4 weeks of lesson plans in a unit. There is the annual subscription option where you can receive 12 months of content and be added to a membership portal where you have community discussion forums and weekly tips sent to you. There's this new pre-recorded subscription where you get 10 months of weekly videos with stories, lessons, activities, and our attempt at creating cartoons, which I'll show you in a bit. And then there's the plus level, which gets you everything. And our special units we have since launching our curriculum have also included a vacation Bible school curriculum based on the pride flag, the colors of the pride flag, and a 8-unit confirmation curriculum for churches to explore with their confirmands. So these are just examples of what some of those single units are. So there was the Road to Emmaus story that we did last spring, and an Easter curriculum. Right now, we're looking at food gratitude in October. So you'll see that in one of the videos that I show. And we were able to get a grant this year to welcome some guest writers to come and write for us. And actually the October food gratitude one was written by a fellow Saskatchewanian. I don't know what's the Mitchell Anderson, who many of you may know. And so he graciously wrote our theme about food justice and combined it with the story of Exodus, and all of the different times and ways that the people of God received food in that arc of a story. And then we have also done some creation time curriculums for the time of creation. So a little bit about what you will find inside a curriculum. So, and this is true for the pre-recorded and the print materials. If we're saying that this lesson or this unit goes the course over 3 to 4 weeks, it's going to be the same story, but we're going to offer several different entry points to that story or different ways to tell it, so that there is repetition, but there's also variety to keep children engaged. And that was a very intentional decision that we made, to not jump around week to week and not necessarily follow lectionary, because we really wanted children to immerse themselves in the story to understand it, rather than go from week to week. We try to give a bit of a background of the story for the leader and the larger context of what else is happening around this story or this text. We really rely on the godly play method of wondering, where you ask wondering questions for children to engage in the story with curiosity and wonder, and then offer several options of games and crafts and activities that will focus on process, not product. So it's really trying to get away from a Pinterest style of Sunday school where it's, every week just creating a craft that somehow connects to a story. We're really trying to be intentional about how certain activities can integrate the story for the children. And then we offer a couple suggestions on how to take that story deeper with any children or teens who are in grades 8 and up. I would say that all of our curriculum, except for confirmation, is heavily centered on children grades kind of 1 to 7, but we are trying to offer a little bit so that people don't need to go to multiple places to find it. So that's just a bit about the curriculum as a whole. And when we decided to do this pre-recorded option, it felt like we really wanted to hold on to some of those core pieces around repeating a story, but telling it in different ways, around giving a bit of the background. So anyone who subscribes to the videos gets a leader sheet that we tell a bit of the background to, and a little bit of the points that could get sticky or hard, and offer some language on how to have those conversations with children. I'm thinking most notably recently about Thanksgiving. We really tried to honor another story. There are many stories of kind of settler and Indigenous relations, and the Thanksgiving story that we celebrate often isn't telling, it's only telling one piece of a story on this land. And so we tried to honor that and give a bit of that reasoning in our leader guide. I try to do times of wondering, which is a bit awkward, but I'll ask the children if they're watching at home or at church to pause it and either think about that or discuss with their family or their friends that they're gathered with, and then offer 1 or 2 activities to do as a group or as an individual after watching the video. So I have a couple options to show you, but before I do that, are there any questions?
I'll sort of throw out a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Just, and you might touch on this anyway, but now I got to figure out the words for it. Where do you see this being used? What, obviously you've given a lot of thought to different ways that particular videos and things might be used. Can you just sort of express where you think it might be most applicable?
Yeah, and the ways that I've heard it is being used are the places that I had assumed it would be used. So that feels like, we're on the right track, which are 2 places. So either the church minister or the volunteer is just sending out the video to their families, especially right now. I don't know where your communities are in terms of gathering in person. There's still a lot of churches in Ontario that are not, or are not gathering children in person yet. So it's either being sent out through email with the link and the activity options, or being played through a Zoom Sunday school time. And then there's one example I know of a church who is gathering with their children and gathering in a room spaced distantly and playing the video on a computer screen. Yeah.
Right, like that's kind of logistic, boring stuff. But the other stuff you're talking about is way more interesting. But I know
No,
this
it's
is
a good
important too to figure out.
question.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thanks.
I have a question.
Just sort of thinking about using this curriculum year after year, how are you choosing your core stories? And are they the same core stories year to year, or do you have a longer plan, sort of like Bible Quest had, where it was a 4-year sort of plan, where you're going to cover the different core stories? And are you in any way connecting your core story with whatever the lectionary, not in terms of covering each lectionary passage, but are you doing a Matthew version in year A and a Mark version in year B and a Luke version in year C, that sort of thing?
Yeah. So the first year, so last year, 2020 to 2021, we mostly focused on the liturgical calendar. So we did a creation lesson as our intro, and then I forget, but this year we're doing like October. There were many marking Sundays around food. So Thanksgiving, World Communion Sunday, World Food Sunday. November, we're going with a theme of remembering the saints in our lives, thinking about All Souls Day, Remembrance Day, and World Trans Day of Remembrance. And then we'll go into Advent. So I have this whole Excel sheet of what lectionary is each week and what the narrative lectionary is each week and what our calendar is each week. And then I kind of look for themes. So for example, I just wrote all the scripts for November's videos, and I know that we were doing a theme of saints in our lives, but I didn't know the biblical connection yet. I made that decision months ago. And then I thought I was going to take on the challenge of doing the Lazarus story, which is often a All Souls Day, or marking All Saints Day and All Souls Day in our lectionary. So where am I going with this? My goal would be that in 3-4 years, we have created units that can be kind of clustered together, so that there can be a parable package and there can be a prophets package and a women of the Bible package. So I am trying to be intentional about how we're creating stories and when, so that communities who are coming year after year are getting new things, but still relating them to where they want their whole community to be in conversation each week. So it's loose, but I'm trying to keep it somehow in topic. Mm-hmm.
Is it safe to say that we're on the ground floor of an elevator that's rising? And
yeah. I have one board member who her dream is like a Netflix subscription, like, where you have access to everything, and then you can pick. We're talking about this story from Matthew this week, so I need this lesson. And I think eventually we'll try to get there once we have enough of a catalog.
That's exciting. Like, it's exciting to hear what might be possible. and just, to hear what your visions are. And maybe on that note, unless there's other questions, we should let you show off some stuff here.
Sure. So what I have is an example of a cartoon. And then I also have an example of a whole Sunday school video. So the cartoon is 2 minutes and the video is 12 minutes. What would be most helpful for you to see? I don't want to waste your time this evening, but I'm happy to show it if that gives you more of an understanding of what it is.
I'm happy to see them.
Yeah.
What about you, Fran? You want to have a chance to see them both?
Yeah, I'd like to kind of get my head around how a video would work for a Sunday school class.
Sure. Okay, well, I'll share the whole video and yeah, we'll see you on the other side. Now, I have had some issue with sharing video when I have headphones in, so I'm hoping that it works, but just let me know if you can hear the sound with a thumbs up, maybe. Hi everyone, it's so good to be together again for Sunday school. I am coming to you from Toronto, which is traditional territory of the Huron-Wendat and Petun First Nations, and most recently the Mississaugas of the Credit River, who are Anishinaabe Ojibwe people. Where are you joining from? I wonder if you know who has cared for that land for thousands of years before you were born. It's important for us to live with respect on this land and live in love and kindness with all our neighbors and relations. We are sorry for all the times we haven't done that and commit to trying to do better every day. Let's light our Christ candle. For today, we remember that Jesus called us to feed all who are hungry. May that message shine bright still today in a world where many are fed, but many are hungry. Today is World Food Sunday, or the International Day for the Eradication of Poverty, which means a day we commit to helping everyone out of poverty. The World Food Sunday events promote worldwide awareness and action for those who suffer from hunger and help strengthen the link between agriculture, our food, and food security, everyone having enough to eat. Let's watch a video to learn more about food and hunger around the world. This is the earth. God created this beautiful earth with so many green and growing things. And guess what? We can eat some of them. Oh my gosh, there are apples, pears, potatoes, bananas, strawberries, avocados, rice, corn, wheat, pineapples, and so many more. What are your favorite foods? Do you know where they come from? Well, some foods need a very specific climate to grow and thrive. That means certain countries around the world produce certain foods, and then they all get transported around the world to feed people all over. For example, if you had tacos for dinner today, you could have had shrimp from the United States, corn tortillas from Mexico, avocados from Peru, tomatoes from Canada, with potatoes from Europe on the side. That means your meal could have come from at least 5 places. Isn't that so cool? Sometimes, though, humans with lots of resources can be very greedy, and they can take more than they need, which leaves other places and people with way less than what they need. That means some people are throwing out food while others are lacking even the basic foods they need to survive. How does that make you feel? What do you think God would want for the creation that was made for us? I believe that when God created all of these beautiful and delicious things for us to eat, that God intended all the two-legged, multi-legged, swimming and flying creatures of the world had enough to eat. How can you be a part of bringing us back to that reality? Some ways we know that can help are growing food in our own backyards or balcony gardens, buying from local markets and farms, choosing organic when possible and affordable, buying package-free foods, and planning meals ahead to avoid waste. What are the things you want to do with your families and in your homes? Wow, those are such good ideas. Pause this video and discuss with your family or as a group or journal some of the ways that you want to try to help make God's dream of everyone having enough to eat a reality. One of the things we know can be helpful in this, living into this reality, and we've talked about it a little bit this month, is eating locally and in season. So that means eating things that are growing in your local area and are ready to harvest. So that changes throughout the year. What's ready to harvest in the fall is different than in the spring and in the summer. One of the things that are in season right now where I am are apples. So we're going to make apple nachos. And it's really simple. You're going to cut up the apple into little thin slices, lay them out on a plate, and then you get to drizzle the toppings of your choice on top for a little snack. So I'm going to use some local peanut butter, maybe some maple syrup and some honey. We'll see. I'm just gonna see where my inspiration takes me, but I invite you to make your own apple nachos with me.
You're like a circle that floats around me, keeping me safe and sound. And when
Here are my apple nachos. I wonder what you put on yours. Another activity you can do on your own, with your family, or as a group is find out where all of the food that you ate this morning came from. Make a list of all the foods that you ate that were part of your breakfast or your lunch or your snacks, and then research where in the world they are grown. And if you want to get really curious, calculate all the kilometers it took to get to your plate or bowl and add them all together. And then find out what is in season in your area and maybe have something local for dinner. So let's close our time together in prayer by watching our music video from our friend Josh, who turns our song, our hymn this month, into a prayer for us.
Last week we continued with our song of blessing, of thanksgiving, but also of asking, of crying out for justice for those who do not have enough food. Well, this week we turn to the second part of prayer. Last week we said thank you to God for the blessing of abundance. But this week we turn to God and we sing, God, please give to those who do not have enough, enough that they may live. And to those who have too much, the thirst for justice, that they may offer the good things to those who do not have enough. And so once again, we add another way of singing this time in Spanish, the language in which this song was first written. So first we sing it in English, then we take space to offer our prayers for justice, and we'll sing it in Spanish. God bless to us our bread, and give bread to all those who are hungry, and hunger for justice to those who are fed. God bless to us our bread. And now in Spanish. Bendice, Señor, nuestro pan, y da pan a los que tienen hambre, y hambre de justicia a los que tienen. Bendice, Señor, nuestro pan.
I just learned this week how to control the audio so that it's not so the music really loud and my voice really low. So every week I'm learning something new. But I'd love to hear your thoughts, your feedback, your questions about what you saw.
It's very cool. Very cool. Way more hours in that than I would have time to do every week. So well done. Well done. I really enjoyed the cartoon part. Maybe because that's sort of routinely how we kind of receive that sort of information. It's when it's you, it was great. The challenge is that normally when we see people on a sort of a TV or video screen, they don't break that wall. And so you're speaking directly. And so as you say, there's that little, it's like a little bit like listening to half a phone call. And I mean, there's nothing you can do about that, right? And I would hope that as the kids got used to it, and if there are family members sharing with them, they would provide that other input that would, make the difference with that. I guess just technically speaking, I don't know if there might be some way that you could have your text a little bit higher. You know how they have, like in news things, they always have it up so that they're looking directly out at the camera over their microphone, and so they're not having to look down. Mm-hmm. That would be the only thing. But yeah, and I love your little container of matches. That's very cool. That it's got the striker on the bottom. Yeah.
It only works about 10% of the time. So the other 90, I have to cut out failed attempts over and over again. But yes, I have a dream, and I do have the commitment from a church, a congregation in Toronto to give me, or not give me, to gift the Go Project with a little recording space, so that I can set up like a green screen and, have an actual microphone and a camera. And so I just applied for the United Church Technology grant. last week. And so I totally, and even watching it there, I could see, I was like, I'm looking down too much. And I couldn't get my computer high enough with the cord still plugged in. So anyway, I appreciate the feedback though. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Can you tell us a bit about your team? Like that was something that came to mind, sort of like what Carolyn just mentioned. There's a lot of work there, and you've got, obviously you've put in a ton, but you've got other people doing different components and putting it together. And you mentioned some people are doing some writing as well. Can you tell us a bit about the team that's going into this?
Yeah, so we put together a team of guest contributors from an Embracing the Spirit grant this summer. So we have about 10 people who have either offered to write 1 full month of curriculum or offer monthly contributions. So Josh is a music minister in the Ottawa area. And so he is filling a huge gap in our curriculum from last year around music, because, excuse me, that is not a gift of mine. And it is a gift of like my one other staff colleague, but she wasn't comfortable filming it. So, so he's doing that for us and sending us, he's doing the same thing, 1 song, and every week adding a language or adding a dance movement or adding another layer to it. And then we have another writer who has a lot of experience with neurodiverse children in education settings, and she is offering alternative options for almost every activity or things to think about, like things that we some of our classrooms might not be aware of immediately. So things to have in mind to enhance a lesson or add an alternative to a lesson. And then I take that really, really good work that's done around curriculum and put together scripts for a video and scripts for a cartoon. So that's one thing that we found last year during virtual children's programming was the most successful was cartoon stories. And every week I would go on YouTube and try to find a cartoon that fit the story that we were telling. But there was always something that made me a little bit uncomfortable in the language or the skin tones portrayed, or just a number of different things that some videos could be almost there, but then I would have to unpack something to make sure the children knew that this is what we believe and we value here in this space. So that's kind of where the first idea came from. It's like, I want to learn how to make cartoons so that we can have like United Church cartoons that really reflect our values, and because I really hold those values as foundation to my ministry and my work. And so I always felt weird showing videos that didn't fit that fully. So I tested a bunch of different softwares and ultimately ended up with this one because it was the most user-friendly and kind of appealing one, but every week I'm getting better and better and trying to improve on it. But essentially, that whole video production is me, except for the music, the gift of music. So I'm filming and editing and really trying to do a better job at putting it all together and transitioning it and getting the audio levels. So it is a lot of work right now. My hope is that if I, through the investment in the beginning, it can grow. And as our curriculum ministry last year grew in a team, I'm hoping next year, maybe I can hire with the Canada Summer Job Grants, some summer students to make all of the videos that we need so that we're already ahead of it for the next year rather than making them every week. So it's a small team.
I and a couple of things just to sort of information for you, I guess. One is I loved all of the content and all the pieces that you put together. I'd love to have you introduce yourself, like as part of that, to sort of set the table, I guess, in terms of this is who I am, and there's a bit of an introduction for the kids who are looking too. You know?
That's a good point. I've never introduced I think I probably introduced myself the first video and then haven't since. So that's a good point.
and I think that sort of immediately creates a bit of a teamwork framework with the other adults who might be showing the videos as well, to say, this is our friend Alana. She and I are good buddies.
Yeah.
And that I think that I really think that's be great. Puts a face to that, or a name to that face. And also, I was just, when you were talking about music, that I'm going to send you some information. There's some of the Korean ministers here out in the prairies who are doing some work on what they call United We Dance. So they've created some videos of
I
dance.
saw them. They're
Yeah,
amazing.
they're
And I
awesome.
instantly wanted to be like, oh, I want to hear
So those, it just feels like those are connections that we can make to sort of put all of the resources together and support what you're doing too. I just feel like there's a whole bunch of people that are skilled and talented and passionate and faithful that
totally
connected with you. But yeah, I'm monopolizing the time there.
No, thank you.
Fran?
Yeah, so I hadn't heard about the Go Project. Carolyn obviously had, because she said, oh yes, that's why what the Go Project was designed for. So is the Go Project a national church program?
It is, yeah. So it started at a local congregation in Toronto, and for 13 years operated out of that congregation, but was offering programs in several locations across the country. And we would partner with local congregations. So in Saskatoon, we have partnered with St. Martin's United for like 8 years to host youth programs in that location. So we would send staff and recruit youth to go to that location. So we were offering those programs in several different places. And we have recently transitioned to be a ministry of a regional council. So the Toronto area regional council is called Shining Waters. So we are a ministry of Shining Waters Regional Council, but we have a national scope in who we're trying to offer programs to.
You know, I would hope you get some support nationally, because I have to say I'm really surprised that there aren't more people interested in this, because every church I know struggles to find Sunday school teachers, and most times it's because people say I don't have time to prepare. So that's off the top. Okay, so this is a regional church ministry, but then you'll offer it. It will be offered nationally then. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Here.
I'm interested to hear that you're doing all the cartoons yourself. I'm thinking, good
Well,
for you.
I'm trying to. I just put a link in the chat there to our page on the United Church Bookstore, where you can see all of, and there's free samples. And I will actually, we left 3 or 4 YouTube lessons for free to have communities test it if they want. So I will send you the link to those as well. But I would say that, I mean, we think it's an answer to many communities' desire to have some of the prep work done for their volunteers or very part-time staff It's just a matter of getting the word out. That's always been Go Project's biggest challenge, is getting the word out about our ministry and the work that we do. And even though it's changed drastically from hands-on children and youth programming in terms of mission experiences, which we hope to get back to someday, we do feel like this is offering really good ministry to our communities across the country, and we want everyone to have access to it. And we do get grant support from many different levels. So there is support there, which we're really, really grateful for from the foundation and from Mission and Service.
To let you know, Alana, we'll make sure that all of the links that you're sending, we'll post those as part of this video as well. So there'll be people have access to all of those. And I guess that connects with my next question for you. If people have additional questions or suggestions or thoughts or anything, can they contact you at the Go Project? Does that work out okay? Or is there someone else that they should be filtering through? Or okay, there's your email address. So okay, we'll
it's me. So that's great. That's my email. You can include that in all of the communications.
And is it safe? You know, we were talking about other people come up with ideas and have skills to contribute. Is it safe to say that, like, if people have some things that they might be able to offer, that's worth talking with you about to see what sort of creative synergies there might be?
Yes, absolutely. And I am more than willing to partner with congregations or with leaders who, if they want to offer something, then I would give them access to resources in kind to be able to partner and share that gift with a wider community. So.
Well, I don't want to rush us through this, but we've had a great hour of information from you, Alana. Unless Carolyn and Fran have any other questions, I'd kind of leave it to you. Are there last minute things that we need to know about, or we need to be spreading the word about, or what are your instructions to us?
Yeah, I don't have any other than I wish you all of the best and blessings as you navigate doing children's ministry in new and different ways during virtual and hybrid and in-person but distant things. It's totally changed how we can gather and do activities and be together. And so I really, to anyone watching this later, I want you to know that we are praying for you and all of your hard work, because it is really hard work and it's really important work. So thank you for caring for our young people in our communities. And if any of the resources that we create can help you, then that is our biggest mission.